And once again, we want to welcome you to the 6th post-cabinet press briefing. We started off with a report on COVID-19 outbreak. Cabinet received an update on the COVID-19 outbreak, and this was presented by the Minister of Defense and War Veterans Affairs, Honorable Mchinguri Kashiri, as chairperson of the Inter-Ministerial Task Force on the COVID-19 outbreak. Cabinet was informed that as of 12 March 2021, Zimbabwe's cumulative COVID-19 cases stood at 36,423, with 33,996 recoveries and 1,496 deaths. The recovery rate is 93%, with 34,722 cases attributed to local transmission. There are 931 active cases, and the cumulative number of infected healthcare workers has risen from 4,008 to 4,210, with 18 deaths. Cabinet noted that preparations for the opening of schools have reached an advanced stage, with examinations classes having opened as scheduled on the 15th of March 2021. Non-examination classes will open on 22nd March 2021 as scheduled. Standard operating procedures are being emphasized, particularly regarding the availability of potable water at every school. In order to utilize the existing capacity, as agreed at the last meeting, Cabinet resolved that stage 2 of phase 1 of the vaccination rollout will include tobacco merchants and their workers, to include teachers, hospitality industry workers, and this should commence immediately. Cabinet also agreed that all sporting activities will now resume and observe standard operating procedures. Also, restaurants are now allowed to open for sittings a 50% sitting capacity under strict adherence to COVID-19 guidelines. Those found breaking the restrictions will be closed immediately. The Cabinet received a report on the Health Services Amendment Bill. Cabinet considered and approved the Health Services Amendment Bill, which was presented by the Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs as Chairman of the Cabinet Committee on Legislation. The key features of the Health Services Amendment Bill include the following: A, designation of the health service as an essential service in line with Section 65(3) of the Constitution. Then B, substitution of the Health Services Board with the Health Services Commission and specifying the functions thereof. C, specification of the membership of the Commission as comprising the chairperson, who must be the chairman of the Civil Service Commission, then a deputy chairperson, and a minimum of 2 and a maximum of 5 other members appointed by the President. And finally, D, appointment of an executive secretary who should be a medical doctor with at least 7 years of experience, and other staff members of the Commission who will be responsible for day-to-day administration and management of the Commission. Under the amended bill, it shall be the responsibility of every member of the health service to ensure that emergency medical service and critical care service receive adequate coverage at all times, even during times of job action. The Cabinet received a report on the Police Amendment Bill. Cabinet considered and approved the Police Amendment Bill, and this was presented by the Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs as Chairman of the Cabinet Committee on Legislation. The bill seeks to achieve the following objectives: A, to align the procedure for the appointment of the Commissioner General of Police in the Police Act, Chapter 1110, with the provisions of Section 22(1) of the Constitution. And B, to align the tenure of the Office of the Commissioner General of Police with the provisions of Section 221(2) of the Constitution. C, to align the Police Act with various provisions of the Constitution which seeks to regulate the operations of the Commissioner General of Police to comply with written directives of the Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission, the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission, and the National Prosecuting Authority in line with sections 243, 255.2 and 259.11 of the Constitution. And finally, D, to align the provisions relating to the appointment, promotion, discharge, retirement, and conditions of service of members of police service with the provisions of the Constitution. Then Cabinet received a report on the update on the procurement and rollout of COVID-19 vaccines. Cabinet received an update on the procurement rollout of COVID-19 vaccines, and this was presented by the Vice President as Minister of Health and Childcare, Honorable CDGN Chiwenga. Cabinet was informed that His Excellency the President today, the 16th March 2021, he received a second donation of 200,000 doses of the Sinopharm vaccine from the People's Republic of China. Government also took delivery of 200,000 doses of Sinovac vaccines, which it purchased from the People's Republic of China. That also arrived today. The balance of 1 million from the 1.2 million vaccines procured will be delivered by the end of March 2021 or in early April 2021. Cabinet was informed that a total of 36,786 people have so far been vaccinated within the first 20 days of the program, with all provinces receiving coverage. Efforts are underway to increase vaccination awareness in order to reach the minimum of 60% of the population to be vaccinated so that we achieve herd immunity. And to gather momentum, the number of vaccinators will be increased by involving the health workers in the uniformed forces from the local authorities and health worker retirees. It is important for those who have been vaccinated to continue to practice the recommended World Health Organization preventative measures such as physical distancing, wearing of masks, and washing of hands and sanitization. 2 documents, that is the deployment vaccination plan, and the other document is the information on frequently asked questions. They have been translated into all official languages. As for the deployment vaccination plan, this is being disseminated as part of the awareness campaign and advocacy. It will help educate people that they will be vaccinated for free. Then the information on frequently asked questions, which has also been translated into all official languages, include the following: different types of vaccines, how vaccines work, the benefit of being vaccinated, and who can be vaccinated and who cannot be vaccinated. It will also talk to safety of vaccines and what to do when there is suspected adverse reaction. It will also talk about various vaccines myths against the real reality on vaccines. Then the Cabinet got a report on the comments on the regularization of medical aid societies as proposed in the Insurance and Pensions Commission Bill. Cabinet considered the submissions made on the regulation on medical aid societies as proposed in the Insurance and Pensions Commission Bill, as presented by Vice President as Minister of Health and Childcare, Honorable CDGN Chiwenga. Cabinet noted that since medical aid societies are not-for-profit enterprises and represent members' efforts to pool funds to assist in covering health bills and expenses, it is best international practice for such entities to be regulated by independent authorities with expertise to deal with the complex and peculiar aspects of the medical industry, and that they should be under the oversight of the Ministry of Health and Childcare. The Cabinet resolved to establish the Medical Aid Societies Regulatory Authority which will be under the Ministry of Health and Childcare, and accordingly, Cabinet approved that medical aid be separated from general insurance, that is exclusion of medical aid societies from the Insurance and Pensions Commission Bill. Cabinet then received a proposed General Amnesty Report 2021. Cabinet considered and approved the proposed General Amnesty, and this was presented by the Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs, Honorable Ziyambi Ziyambi. Section 112 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe empowers the President, after consultation with Cabinet, to exercise the power of mercy to grant pardon to any person concerned in or convicted of an offense against the law. The proposed general amnesty is targeted at all prisoners who have served at least 1/3 of their sentences, save for those convicted of specified offenses such as follows: murder, treason, rape, or any sexual offense, carjacking, robbery, stock theft, and public violence. Full remission of sentence to be granted to all prisoners who would have served life imprisonment for at least 15 years commutation. The amnesty will decongest the prison institution, whose population currently stands at 20,407 against the prison's holding capacity of 17,000. The overpopulation already poses a health hazard, especially considering the COVID-19 pandemic and the recommended measures to curtail the spread of the disease. Then Cabinet received a report on the provision of housing and road rehabilitation program. Cabinet was informed that received an update on the program to provide housing and rehabilitation of the country's roads which were damaged by the rains. Following a countrywide assessment by joint ministerial teams, the number of households facing displacement stands at national total of 21,852. Harare Metropolitan Province tops the list at 15,713 households, followed by Mashonaland East, 1,947. Manicaland has got 1,683. Mashonaland Central, 622. Masvingo Province has got 575. Bulawayo, 549. Matabeleland South, 532. Matabeleland North and Midlands at 105 each. And Mashonaland West, 21. The provision of relief to distressed households and identification of relocation areas will continue across all the provinces in order for corrective action to be taken. The production of appropriate housing plans and architectural designs which promote settlement densification through high-rise structures is a prerequisite for the provision of housing to families faced with relocation. In this regard, Cabinet was informed that the plans and designs have now been produced through collaboration between the Ministries of National Housing and Social Amenities and local government and public works. They are mainly H-type, with 2 and 3 bedroom units, and target low-income earners. Modifications can also be availed for middle-income earners, and building brigades will be revived. The designs will accommodate public facilities at the ground floor and include Wi-Fi centers, a community hall with ablutions, an amusement area, a play center, and a preschool. Other amenities will entail shops, a pharmacy, a surgery, and a hair salon. Liquor outlets and activities that require bulk storage and haulage are excluded. Resources will be mobilized for the completion of all housing projects. As the exercise to streamline the operation of cooperatives continue, Cabinet agreed that being a cooperative requires compliance with the legal process. This will assist in promoting policy consistency at all levels of government. And on the emergency road rehabilitation program, Cabinet noted that following extensive preparatory work, significant action is now evident on the implementation front. The respite from the incessant rains has allowed space for attending to the daunting task at hand. The planning teams has now compiled a compendium of all road projects to be implemented by each road authority, province by province. Similarly, the selection of roads to be taken over from local authorities by the Ministry of Transport and Infrastructure Development has started. The selection of contractors for Harare and other cities and towns has also started. Cabinet was informed that CMED Private Limited will be funded by Treasury in order to use its state-of-the-art equipment on projects under the Emergency Road Rehabilitation Program. The equipment includes 3 new graders, tippers, road reclaimers, and heavy-duty flatbed trucks. CMED's Civil Construction Unit, which was formed in 2020, has completed rehabilitation works spanning 42 kilometers. As soon as Treasury fulfills its pledge and releases the financial resources, CMED will soon deploy its teams, starting with Harare and Bulawayo metropolitan provinces. The entity can also take up other roads across the provinces. Immediate emergencies in headlands in Manicaland, Musavezi Bridge along the Shurugwi-Mandamabwe Road in Midlands, and bridges in Siakovu in Mashonaland West are being addressed through the necessary restorative works, and the contractors are already on site. I thank you sincerely for listening.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, for the presentation. Thank you, members of the media, for attending the press briefing. Thanks.
Thank you and bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.